Hi, I'm Peyton Pritchard, and I'm going to talk to you about the history of Jeeps. Jeeps have been around for a really long time, since the beginning of World War II. The United States needed new vehicles. They had a lineup of Ford Model Ts, which did not have four-wheel drive, and that was a problem because all the other countries did, especially Germany. And so the Jeep was invented, but one interesting fact about Jeeps is that nobody actually knew where the name Jeep came from, whether it was from GP, which stood for General Purpose Vehicle, Ford called it that, and then the other title was from a cartoon character called Eugene the Jeep. Alright, so today I want to tell y'all about the history of Jeeps because Jeeps are pretty cool and you see them everywhere, but not many people know about the history of them. So Jeeps aren't ordinary. They played a role in the history of the United States. They're actually tied to our freedom because they helped win World War II. So it's important to know about Jeeps. And I'm credible because ever since I got my license, I've had a Jeep. And my brother had a Jeep before me, Jeep YJ, which those are fake. And then my grandpa actually had a Jeep for 10 years before that. So they've been around my whole life. And then, so today I'm going to tell y'all, I'm going to start off with the Jeep Willys, which is the first Jeep, and I'm going to move on to the CJs right here, and then going on to the, what's next, the YJ with the square lights, and then at the very end I'm going to talk about JKs and TJs. Alright, so the first Jeep I'm going to talk about is the Jeep Willy, which this was started in World War II. Like I said, the United States needed Jeeps. They needed a new vehicle, and Jeeps is what Karl Probst came out with, according to Thrillist.com. He actually invented the idea for the Jeep in 2 days, and then 2 days later, the government had signed off on it, and so it was begun. As you can see, they're really rugged. They're made for the Army, so they've got to be pretty rugged. The tires are completely tired. There's no air in there, so they can't get a flat. It's solid metal, so you can't really penetrate it with bullets unless there's a ton of them. And then it's out in the open, so that's the only safety aspect, is that you can easily get shot, but you can also shoot pretty easily from the Jeep. Alright, moving on was the CJ series, which stands for Civilian Jeep. CJ7, which is this model right here, that's actually that was my first car. Was made from 1976 to 1986, and this was the most popular one because it had an extra bench seat for in case you had passengers, and so it was just the most popular one. And then the CJ8 right here was made, only 29,000 were made, and so for being over 30 years old, it's really rare to find one. It's the truck made for people with ranches and farms that wanted the freedom of a Jeep, but also wanted to be able to do work and stuff. Okay, so moving on. The next one was the Jeep YJ that came after the CJs. The YJ doesn't actually stand for anything, it's just what they called it. On this Jeep, they changed the headlights, which is one of the looks which is different, and it has the square headlights instead of the circle ones, which the classic Jeeps have. Many people were angry about that, and they said that it made the Jeep look fake and it wasn't real. It's still a Jeep, it's just, yeah, it has the square lights. They ended up changing it back after one model of that because nobody liked it. It had some performance upgrades as well, starting with fuel injection. It's more reliable because it got rid of the carburetor, which in the winter carburetors tend to mess up a little more. You have to tinker with them to get them going. And then it also had a reinforced frame, which makes it more sturdy in case you get in a wreck or something. It's a solid frame made over, welded over one more time with more metal, so it's a little safer. After the YJ came the Jeep TJ, which, as you can see, they brought back the circle lights, gave it the classic look, so everyone considered this one the real Jeep again. It's got the classic look of a Jeep with advanced technology. What that means is more electronics on the inside, a little more modern for current day drivers. They started in 2000s, or 97, and through the early 2000s. So, let's see. Suspension-wise, these have coil springs, which is new compared to the leaf springs that it used to have on the YJs and anything before that. Leaf springs are what they put on the rear end of trucks. Basically a really rough ride. So when Cool Springs came out, it made it a lot more enjoyable to ride in. Also, it was better for off-road because the Cool Springs add flex and stuff like that. Alright, and the last modern Jeep, the one that you see today, will be the JK. JK also doesn't stand for anything special. This is the newest model available. This is more of an SUV than a rugged Jeep. It's not really, I mean, you can off-road in them, it's just they're not necessarily, they're not made for it. So they came out with a 4-door version on this Jeep, which is nice for those with families and stuff. You can take your kids to the grocery store in it, compared to the 2-door Jeeps, which are pretty much just for off-roading and stuff like that. So since 2007, over 1 million have been produced, according to AutoWeek.com. 1 million since 2007 is quite a bit, especially considering how many other models of cars there are out there today. So I've shared with you all the history of Jeeps and why I think they're important. They played a big role in the United States history, as well as just being one of the most known automobiles out there. So now that I've shared with you, hopefully you may notice Jeeps out on the road today and might be interested by their history, or at least recall what kind of Jeep you see and stuff like that. Thank you for listening. Oh, I'm not doing that again. I don't think I